Law. All right. All right. We're going to do a little bit of control F. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Detonate. Revenant interchanged. One match. Corpse. They nerfed unearthed corpses. Capped at level 80. That's not the biggest nerf. Actually adorned. Oh, they actually nerfed adorned. I think I'm going to play Self-Found. I don't know what I will have to do in Trade League. These protection skills, like, to me, zoom in a bit, sure, don't really seem that interesting. Like, I'm probably not going to be using them unless I just, because like my understanding of them is they're not automatic. It's like a button you have to press, and that sounds like pretty socket heavy. I'm probably not going to fuck with that unless they're like really OP. Then I will, but like it's kind of weird. So new support gem, support melee attack skills, which can be exerted. This basically is pretty similar to my helmet. Oh, you can't support Val skills, even though Val Grantham can be exerted. That's unfortunate. But yeah, so this, if you're going for the full Warcry setup where you play 4 Warcries, this is probably going to be really good. We'll see. Warbringer getting nerfed the way it did makes slams a lot worse, I think. Unless slams have higher base stam, but like, Warbringer was insane. Warbringer was why slams were like playable. I feel like non-slam melee is really just going to be better and like smoother to play. Palliate based passives. Yeah, wow, they added actually a ton of new base types from all endgame content. And nerfing auras to compensate. New uniques, 5 native cards. 2 of these are mine. If you guess the right 2, you win nothing, but I'll be proud of you. Alright, melee totems removed, entirely gone. Big buff to melee damage. Majority is from gem levels, so you're not going to be super insane on the early campaign. The mana cost that they saw, or that they showed, was a big fucking number. I saw 12 instead of 5. So before, when you had a mana cost of 5 on a 6-link, if you had 3 minus mana cost perfect rolls on your jewelry, it became like free basically with the helmet implicit. 12 is so much more expensive. So they added support on the passive tree for reducing mana cost. If the helmet implicit still exists, you'll be able to make it pretty cheap still with like 2 or 3 points, or you just use life tap. Like if your 6th gem is like 29% more damage and life tap is 19% more, like just fucking life tap. Like who cares? It also lets you reserve more, so I'm accepting a lot of life tapping. They're always free, they don't give a permanent buff, they have to be active to give a buff, but the thing with banners is they're instant. So they're instant and they can't die, so way less cringe than totems were. And it used to be you had to place them and then pick them up. This wording makes it seem like you place them and when you leave the area, they automatically pick themselves up, so half the input, so that's going to be super easy. It's basically going to be like focus. Yeah, you just press the button, and it happens. Nice and simple. Alright, Rage. We've already kind of seen what Rage is. No more movement speed. F. Sad. Basically, you gain it way faster, and you lose it way faster, and you get a big damage buff. Like, pretty much every melee build, I think, is going to want to use Rage to some extent. It's really, really strong. Shared cooldown preventing you from generating Rage and hit more than 1 hit every 0.5 seconds. So even if you hit 10 targets, you're only going to get 1 tick of Rage, which makes sense. But just looking at the passive tree, it seemed pretty easy to get to about 7 Rage per hit. And to increase your Rage cap to about 50. So that's like 5 seconds, 6 seconds of ramp-ish. Not too bad. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense. So like Rage effect will scale the armor node here. It'll scale the attack speed from here. And it'll scale the more damage. So like Rage Masters are pretty good. This is like 10% move speed for 1 point. 7 Rage for 1 point. I think you're going to have 2 Rage clusters on most melee builds, maybe 3. Tinctures... These don't excite me at all. The whole mana burn mechanic of them being like temporary, and you have to invest points to like make it like linger and stuff. I don't know. It was kind of weird. And like the most powerful ones didn't even exist anymore. Unless the points are insane, or the exquisites are insane, that you can roll on them, the base versions of tinctures didn't seem that insane for losing a full. I don't care. about any of this. Chance to get what the seer just always exists now in 16 and 17 maps. Love that. I'm gonna get a Mage Blood this league from this guy, like I always do. And then he lets you scry a map to swap the diff cards. So basically, I'm pretty sure Creation Scarabs are probably going to be gone, and you can just pick whatever map you want, and then take the diff cards from a map that has what you want. Oh, this is a huge change. Monsters killed from all league and additional content cannot drop maps. Previously, most were prevented except for bosses or elite monsters. Not all of them can, but they have a map drop penalty. It's very different. It used to be like generally only rare monsters could drop maps. Now they all can. That's neat. That's a huge... Dude, between Quant Nerf and this, diff card is like, you're going to get so much less diff cards. Yeah, diff card farming is super dead, which is fine. Diff card farming is like the most like boring farming there is. I hate diff card farming. Ooh, Domination Scarab of insane 5-hour / played level 100's gone. Who would have guessed? The Quant Nerf was good. Dude, this change, you're gonna get, like... I need to log in. Actually, yeah, I can. I need to log in and test Magic Vine without All Flames. Because I feel like All Flames were the only reason why Magic Vine was OP. It's like losing All Flames and losing this at the same time. I guess they're buffing... We have new Jizzles that exist to buff unique drops. So, like... We'll see. I'm kind of curious, like how much more Mage was going to cost. Like no div cards and like 1/3 of the uniques. Gotta chisel my 17s now, and also still cast them 100 times each. Okay, at least they deleted like this kind of stuff. Like Union T17 was like so bad. Increased rarity quantity more in line with regular map modifiers. This means 300% rarity maps are gone, and instead it's going to be the more normal, like 100%. This is like actual, like huge nerfs to unique frequency. One thing I don't understand what this means. It added more opportunities to obtain certain items by defeating the bosses as you complete waves. So the way that this dropped before was by defeating the bosses. So yeah, like my interpretation is just more bosses, is my guess. So Sim takes half the amount of time, and you get more bosses. So like what, 4 or 5 times more voices per Sim. So it's like the time to farm at 1 passive voices went from like 1,000 hours to like a few hundred. That's fine, we're chilling. There were cases that were utilized by fewer than 100 players total. They were able to yield tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of unique items in every map. Why would they do that? That's so weird. Abusers. They should be banned. That's all I'm saying. Probably not going to use very many uniques anymore in Magifine builds. Instead, you're going to focus on being stronger and clearing faster. And then using things like the Rarity Helmet, for example, which is super high value, which is nice. Oh. Corpses spawned by the Desecrating Corpse Log have a flat 50% chance to match receptors. So to be clear, this was what they intended to do in 3.17. This was what they were trying to do, and instead they just added this functionality but didn't delete the old functionality of being able to corpse stack. So that's good. This is a nerf mainly to Chain DD, not so much Ignite. These corpses are not useful for most purposes. Lose eminent skills, so just ooh. Oh, interesting. It's beautiful. Like, this is not a nerf, let's be clear. This is not a nerf. This is a fucking deletion, an absolute destruction. Like, it's not about triple tapping. This is like evaporation. It's gone. However, unless they modified corpse skills further, DD could still be very useful for one-shotting bosses from other bosses with like a 1-link. We'll see. We'll see if there's more later. Itemized corpses are spectral, so you can't use like ritual corpses to blow them up. They only spawn if you have the gem, so it's actually only for minions now. The way it should have always been. Oh my god, please, please, Skills that use a basic animation now have a more consistent swing. Oh my fucking god, thank you. Jesus Christ. This was the worst shit ever. If you didn't play Melee, you'd have no idea what this is. But the way this worked was, this came about in like, I don't know, like a few years ago. They added it as an idea of like improving Melee, and it was the most dog shit thing ever. And what it does is, your first attack has a 0.7 multiplier to your attack speed, and the second has a 1.3. So what that meant in reality was, you would just attack slower. And if you one-shot everything, this would reset after like a second. And then you go to the next pack and you'd attack slower. And, it was so fucking bad. Like in early game, you just canceled every auto attack because it was so slow. It was the worst thing ever. This being gone is genuinely amazing. And what's funny is Bone Shatter didn't have this. Bone Shatter was created after this technology was put in the game, but Bone Shatter didn't have it. Which is why Bone Shatter actually feels good, and every other strike skill doesn't. Oh, this is so good. This is so important. I love this. Player minutes are no longer targetable enemies while the player has a grace period debuff. It's good. No longer be stunned while using a Val skill before the contact point. This means you can't get stunned out of like a Val Flame Blast, for example, I think. Or like Val Smite. Oh, yo. So when I used Val Smite on my Delver, I had to listen to the audio of my character and wait for a stun to happen, and then press Val Smite. So I had to use Brian King's stun immunity to be able to use Val Smite. It was really cringe. So this is nice. Divine Blessing is gone. Guys, it's a Melee League. You know what? Archetype didn't use this because it was too far from EV? Melee. Ha! Puncture of Shanking. Holy. Hopefully, I mean, this... Like puncture with snipe for bows, very good. Like one of the best bleed things. Hopefully this actually has a good damage number. Battle Mage's Cry no longer grants a buff which boosts crit and allows attacks to benefit from increased spell damage. Now it's only crit. So basically, strength stackers just got absolutely fucking just cut in half. And also mana boys too, right? So Berserk gives rage effect, but lowers your rage. So as long as you're out regenning, you're chilling. I mean, if you have 50 rage, you're getting 50% more damage, and you can maintain that. That's what? It ranges from 50 to 80. So it's like, what even is that? 20% more damage? Yeah, it's 20% more damage, assuming you're staying at max rage. It's the kind of thing you press when you're like, kind of like at the end of combat, and you're just going to finish it off and then pour it out or some shit. The no movement speed means you're like never using this when mapping, I think. It's okay. Like you press this, drop your banner, like you lost totems, like maybe, might as well. These are some big numbers. I did not think they were going this far. Like, I was expecting, like, alright, totems are gone, quality, like, offsets, like, some of that, and, like, here's, like, a 20% buff. Not, this is double damage, and rage is way better. Melee is gonna be so fucking nuts. Bone Shatter, come on. Okay, good, good. Not double, what is this? 30% more? So, like, some of the bad skills got close to double damage. This got 30%. Bone Shatter's a net nerf for lots of attack speed. Yeah, that's a huge thing to consider, is that Bone Shatter's damage is not a single value. It's scaling with attack speed with exponential. So, like, losing attack speed for Bone Shatter is, like, way worse than other skills. So, this is really good. This means you're not going to be forced to be Bone Shatter because it just does double the damage of everything else. Yeah, fuck Bone Shatter. That's so good. Dude, this is generally the best way they could have buffed Melee. Like, make Bone Shatter not the only build that is good. Make all of them kind of playable. Like, holy, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, the bit with Bone Shatter was basically like, if you had double damage on Bone Shatter, you had double the stacks and double the attack speed still. So you did like double the damage from the attack speed and then also double the damage from stacks. So like it losing Ancestral Protector is way worse than like Cleave, for example, losing it. I was never going DD. DD is gone. DD doesn't exist. It's not in the game. Like basically, DD of Scavenging is a 1 gem that you'll put in your Ignite build for when you're doing bossing content, the one-shot bosses that like despawn or die. But like as an actual standalone build, it's fucking gone. Melee, boys, melee. I don't even know what Ascendancy. There's so many choices. The one problem I have with Jug is monsters can remove your endurance charges. That's a thing they can just do. And they're so all in on endurance charges. The passive tree was released a while ago. So like Jug's mini transcendence is gone. It's just not in the game anymore. But like this is better. So if you make a setup where you have like, 11 endurance charges, you get 55% DR for LE and physical, which is cool and can be really good. But if your charges fall off for whatever reason, you instantly die. And like, I don't like that. It's too conditional. Rally-Cash helps, but like 30 movement speed, gone, pain. Bows don't matter. Call to Arms has been renamed to Auto Asphyxia, Auto Exertion. Sorry, I was talking to Jung a lot recently. We've been playing League together. I'm sorry. Basically, you can reserve mana so that you get the exert portion of Warcry. So for people that don't know how Warcries work, Warcries have two things. They have a buff and they have an exertion. So for Intimidating Cry, for example, the buff is Overwhelm, and the exertion is your attack does double damage. So this removes the buff, so you can reserve a bunch of mana, have all of your Warcries be auto-used instantly, and you only get the exerts. I don't care about Charge Dash. Alright, Cleave, show it to me. Holy shit. Oh my god, from 237 to 511. I don't really care about Cyclone. I don't know. Venom increased stats. Yo, so we lost Defiance Banner and we lost armor. Like caster League starts are gonna be really painful. Desecrate, just in case the total destruction of corpse-based things wasn't enough, they also added this, which is really funny. That's definitely less than I expected, because the Warcry changes seem like not the best. Wait. Earth Shatter got double and Earthquake got 50%? That's kind of sketchy. Like, this skill was already better. Oh, this is a huge nerf to the Jug setup. The Jug setup heavily relied on this PDR to hit 90%. Like, the idea was to have enough raw physical damage reduction, you had 90%. And it was really hard to hit. Losing this, what is it? Is this 18% that you lose? It's 3% per endurance charge and like 11 endurance. Oh, wait. No, it's like 30%. Huh. Yeah, this is you're not hitting 90 raw PDR. Not with this. Which is a good thing, I think, probably. That said, I would have been so broken. Log the fucking Divine Blessing removed doesn't affect melee in most cases. You didn't bother. And that nerfed like pretty much every single caster build in the game. And melee got buffed too at the same time. And like Rage, melee is gonna be nuts. I can't wait. I'm so excited for to play melee again. I don't know which method yet. Honestly, it might be Slayer. Like Champion got nerfed. Jug got modified in a way that makes me not like the full reliance on endurance charges. Gladiators, I haven't even looked at it yet. It's cringe. Berserker offensively seems pretty solid. We'll see. Like, just looking at Berserker, these 4 points gives you 75% increase at attack speed, and it changes your rage multiplier from 50 to 75, which is not 25% more damage. That's about like 17% more damage. So 4 points, you get a bunch of attack speed and like 17% more damage, which is okay. It's not bad, but honestly, it's not that insane. Rage cap is 30, but I'm just assuming every melee build is going to spec into these 6 points of rage. Forgot where the other cluster was, but There's like 6 points of rage that you're going to expect into that guaranteed. That bring you to about 50. So like, in Carnage is like, just picture the difference between 10% increased damage taken and 10% reduced damage taken. It's pretty massive. And if you do go for like Rite of Ruin Carnage, and you're not a Warcry build, like Savagery is like pretty mediocre. I don't know, like it could be Zerker in some angles. The inherent rage loss being 2 seconds slower is nice, because the default is 2 seconds. You'll make that 3 seconds with Bro, where's this note at? I saw it earlier. With this right here. So it'll be 3 seconds. There's 3 seconds of not getting hit or gaining rage, which is hitting, and you'll dump your rage super fast. So like going from 3 to 5 is nice, but if you're doing good layout maps, you really shouldn't have 3 seconds of downtime very often. And then when it comes to Slayer's stuff, like the DRN Leech is nice, Impact is really good for enabling PT, and also 50% more damage and a bunch of radius, which is also nice for vibes. Being Reflected Immune is cool for being able to run more maps. And just like Cole, Big Cole is good. One thing about Slayer that is kind of fake, when you're mapping, the default POB you set to unique. But when you're mapping, you're not really fighting uniques very often. And uniques aren't tanky, rares are tanky. So like Slayer is overstated in POB for how strong it is, because of Bane of Legends. But like just having overlay, it is kind of nice. And Champion got nerfed. Glad, I want to look at Glad again. So Glad has bleed pops still, which is good. Aggravated, basically what aggravated means is you no longer have to play Crimson Dance on melee. Because like the old thing was Crimson Dance, or sorry, it was either this or it was like apply a big bleed and then fucking weapon swap and Ensnaring Arrow, which was so dog shit. The point where like it's not a build. So like this lets you actually play big hit melee bleed without that cringe. So one thing about this, because this is you deal more damage instead of they take more damage, this will not dynamically update. You'll have to reapply a new bleed, I'm pretty sure. So like if you walk up to a rare and you Earthquake it and it applies an 8-second bleed, at the end of that 8 seconds, it's not doing more damage. You have to then apply a new bleed, which is like fine. But yeah, like this is probably gonna reset like on phases. Every boss has invuln phases. It's probably gonna reset. Maybe it won't. So certain debuffs persist forever. Yeah, it says the word ever there, which is good. But the only source of infinite debuffs that persist through load screens was a bug. It was a flame wall bug from like years ago. And like that literally lasted forever. You could log out, come back in, portal into the map, and it was still there. It was permanent. So like it is possible to make debuffs last forever. And then them using the word ever in this tooltip hopes that they probably did that. Because if boss phasing and portaling resets this, it's like unplayable. And this is, unless you're actually using retaliation for bleed, which I don't know if you will, that's weird. So it's like, honestly, it's, in Weapon Master, it's really weird. Because like you're usually PT, or sorry, RT on these builds, because there's no reason not to be in most cases. And like a lot of these are not very high value. Like crit accuracy leech, I don't care about any of that shit in most cases. Obviously Veranach is cool, but the item's dog shit. Like that item has less damage than what you get in like Act 9. Like the only thing I really care about here is the axe one, or the mace one for clear. So like 30% more damage when they're on their life, it's like okay. It's a fine 2-pointer. I'm assuming you're using a 2-ender in most cases, because you need to do damage. So you got pops, you have this thing so you don't have to do weapon swapping stuff. More dam and this like little weird ramp thing. Line more reliable, but worthless. I don't think there's ever been a good build that used Flesh and Stone and Sand Stance since they nerfed it like 4 years ago. My blind doesn't do anything. Not enough to reserve your mana. But like one thing that's nice for this, wait, is it? I don't think this is considered an aura. It might be now that it has this stuff, but in the past, I don't think it was considered an aura. Having things like Slayer, generic, bigger radius, and like this stuff where it's like 32% radius of aura skills. There's also a mastery for it as well. That might get really big. This could be good. I'm not sure. We'll see. It's a big number of less damage taken. We'll see. What the old hammer get? Yo, the hammer got a big ass number. They took away +2 strike range. This is not a buff. What did you do? Yo, heavy strike. Heavy strike heavy strike is kind of fucking big, isn't it? Like them removing the attack speed or the knockback on heavy strike is so huge. That's a huge nerf to hatred. Like hatred used to give you like 50% more cold damage and like 50% physicals extra once it was scaled with aura effect. It was a really broken aura for phys conversion because you just double dipped. And now instead it's just a bunch of physicals extra. And all like cold based spellcasters are down bad. But the thing is, Divine Blessing is gone, so you lost it anyways. Honestly, DD of Chaining is probably still kind of playable. As weird as it is. Like, normal DD is super gone, but the reality with DD of Chaining, because they didn't change that. Chain Reaction DD, if you literally pretend the corpses don't exist, it still does 8 hits of like 600. Which is like a decent number. And even on the smallest corpses possible, this is going to give you at least double damage, I think. On the smallest corpses possible. So like, that skill probably is still kind of viable. Especially the Archmage version, yeah, for sure that setup. That was something we talked about a while ago. But like, base DD, super dead. Archmage, Chain DD, alive. Log in. Maybe you do just... I think something that I'm not really... maybe you do just always say fuck Crimson Dance. The reality of Crimson Dance is... Hypothetically, if you did 5 damage per hit, you had no variance on your attack. Crimson Dance does... 400% bleed damage, and a moving bleeding target does 300%. So technically, this does more damage, but the reality of bleed is you can use things like volatility and like Relentless Belt to increase your max top end and give you like a big variance on your bleed application. And then you can just play aggravated and just keep on reapplying over and over and over again to get the biggest bleed. Like when you use those two things in combination, like the Fizz Mastery for 10% more top end, Relentless for more top end, and volatility, your bottom to top end is like 1 bottom end, 100 top end. So if you're doing that with Crimson Dance, you're going to apply 8 bleeds, your average is 50. If you're doing it with Aggravated, you're going to apply 8 bleeds, but only 1 does damage. The biggest one. Of 8 bleeds, your average is going to be what, like 87? So in that scenario, you know, you would want to be Aggravated. And there's less ramp with Aggravated. It's just really hard to get enough attack speed to have 8 good bleeds with Crimson Dance. Molten Strike, remove the flat. What? Does it affect balls? It should. Balls are a direct percentage of the pit. The fuck? Like, Molten Strike was already... A few things here. One, Warchief Totem never worked on this anyways, because it didn't work on the Proj. So it only used 1 totem. And this was already the highest damage skill in the game, when you factor in return. And it got a full-on, like, 80% buff. Yeah, look, there's also the return brought to weapon enchant. We still don't know where that is. But if that's on a good base type for Molten Strike, holy, that's so much damage. Yeah, Zenith also is insane damage. The problem with Zenith is it's, like, disgusting. The whole, like, every 5th attack does more damage than the prior 4 attacks by, like, 5 times is really dumb. your Nemesis anyways. Yeah, but like, you don't start a league with fucking Nemesis in your inventory. But yes. And like rings are a pretty big opportunity cost, you know? Versus a weapon enchant. Cooked softcore trade players, amen, dude. Yeah, like that's how Zenith always was. Like, the average of Zenith is insane, but the problem is it's not average. For this skill to be playable, you need to have like insane attack speed, or you need to have so much damage that the non-empowered attacks kill things. So RV of Berserking does like about the same damage it did before, whereas base RV actually does a decent chunk more. They're not changing anything else about base RV, because the amount of rage you can get now is so much higher than it used to be. Like the way that rage worked before on RV was you got 3 per second from Berserker, you got 1 per second from Axe, Mastery, you got 1 per second from Gloves, and then you got 1 per or 2.5 per second from the Sport Gem, which it's summed up to about like 5 to 7 rage per hit, or per second total, per second, not per hit. New rage is a 0.5 ICD, and you very easily get 7 per hit. So that's like substantially more. But the rage cap is lower. You're not going to be getting like 80, 90 rage. You're going to be getting like 60. 7 per hit from what? The tree. 1 rage on melee hit every 0.5 seconds. You can get it. Got 1 on hit here, 2 on hit here, 1 on hit, 1 on hit, 3 on hit, 1 on hit. It's everywhere. Shit, it's everywhere. It's probably a mastery too. I think, assuming you can fit sockets, just playing just good old like Blade Storm Rage Vortex, I think is going to be kind of sick. Like, that build was already good, and the totems were atrocious on that. It was so annoying. And the rage cost was a huge pain in the ass. The problem was, like, when you RV'd, it cost, like, 14 rage, and you only had, like, 5 to 6 per second. Whereas now you're going to easily have, like, 14 per second. And it doesn't consume more rage. You just get more damage per sacrifice. I think before it sacrificed, like, 14 rage when you had 70. Like, when I played it, this mastery, or this quality didn't exist. So yeah, it was 20% of 14. What's 5% per 1? Is that the same? Yeah, so you sacrificed 14 rage, and you got 70% more damage. That was it. Like 70 rage was about what I had pretty much always on that setup. 70 or 75. And now, you're going to have about 50. Like, it's 30 base plus like 20 on the tree. So about 50 or so. Maybe 60 with some gear. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to say 50, because 50 is 100% at the floor. I think 59 is super easy. We're going to say 50. You're going to sacrifice 25% of that. So, what, 12? And it's 120% more damage instead of 70% more damage. So, like, RV itself isn't getting that much of a buff relative to other skills. Oh, another big problem that I forgot is Warcries got fucked. Yeah, that was pretty important. Because the way this skill works is you snapshot double damage with Intimidating Cry. And to do that, you use Call to Arms. Because you only wanted to exert Rage Vortex. You didn't want to exert Blade Storm. So you pressed... So you did that. Like, you had instant Intimidating Cry and then RV. That's gone now. The support gem auto exertion is, it just uses it on cooldown repeatedly, so you don't have control of it. So it's gonna exert your Blade Storms. And ambush is only for the crit version of the build. And also it's not instant, right? Isn't ambush like a teleport? It's kind of weird. RV nerf because no totem buffs now? Yeah, so RV Berserking was like basically Righteous Fire, and the totems give you dynamic damage updating, and also phase run did too. So like RV of Berserking is going to do a lot less damage because of that. That's true. Percent more AoE, whereas before it was 30% increase and then 30% increase per previous attack. This is really nice because now it doesn't feel so bad to invest into increased AoE with things like Fist of War and Pulverize, or just points in the tree or on your gear. So slams will be big. Or AoE is good for Earthshatter. Think about so assuming Earthshatter is working properly, which I think it is now, more AoE is always good for this reason. Assuming there's no walls nearby, more AoE does nothing, because it should increase the spread by the same that it increases the explosion. But when there's walls nearby, hypothetically, if you had 1,000% increase radius and you attack right here, your spikes are going to go out, hit the wall, and stop, and the explosion will overlap everything. So, like, more radius means more wall overlapping. Kind of like Lightning Strike. But, like, the thing is with Val Lightning Strike is the best Val skill in the game. So, you know. Helix got a tiny buff. I mean, even if they made Helix like 250, I still wouldn't put that shit. Alright, what's the SST buff? Ooh, not very big. But shields are also bigger. It's like a 30% buff, but shields are also bigger. Spec throw, very small buff. Yeah, a lot of these like melee adjacent skills like Helix and throw are just getting a very small increase to compensate for no totem, and that's it. And they're also getting bigger weapons with the quality change, which is nice, but actual melee is getting some love. Storm Call, Storm Rain, Bows, Mines, Sunder. Sunder's 629. The gym level difference is very noticeable. Like, it used to go from 220 to 225, so about 50% more damage over the course of all gym levels. Now it's 273 to 629. It's like 3x damage, or like 2.35 or something. The thing with Sunder is not good at killing everything. Sunder is good at killing a like dense pack in a line, which is the kind of thing that happens in campaign a lot. But if you're in a map and you actually need to kill everything, Sunder's really bad at it. So I think that this is going to stay a campaign-only skill for me. And it is very good in the campaign. Like, as soon as you have Fist of War, Sunder feels so insane. It's so good. Even before that, honestly. Like, as soon as you have Sunder, you're vibing in the campaign. Accuracy or physical damage. Bro. Conditional accuracy is so bad. I guess it's not bad if you're, like, a stacker, but... 4% more damage with melee skills to you and your allies. And assuming you have 50 stacks, it's like 12% more, 16% more. Oh, 10% at max? Oh. So times 6, that's pretty solid. 24% more. That's worth a gem socket, I think. Like, you get to the end of a map, you're walking up to the boss, you press War Banner, you press Berserk, you kill the boss with 50% more damage. I think you're still going to use this on these builds. And the other banners seemed fucking trash compared to this. I don't think it's good enough that you're going to invest at all in the tree. Assuming it's still 50 Valor baseline, which I don't know if that's confirmed, but assuming it is, it's good enough on its own that it's like, you can, like, it's fine to use. It's not super high value, but it's fine. Alright, Val skill balance. Whew. We're halfway there. I need to get a drink soon. My voice is starting to hurt. Val Blade Flurry buffed. Val Cleave, about double. It's a big number. I still just don't like the way you get radius on Val Cleave. I really hope that gets changed eventually. To where, like, if you Val Cleave a normal rarity monster, you get more radius. If you Valcleave a rare or unique, you get more damage and culling. I wish they would separate those two. It probably doesn't matter once you're strong, and maybe this is good enough that like you'll always feel strong. But it was really annoying when I tried this in Sanctum League for that reason. Val Lightning Strike. Yeah, so like this is the VLS numbers they put up in the Lightning Strike category. So I just took the VLS numbers and applied it to the base Lightning Strike, and it was like pretty decent. But if they take the Molten Strike numbers and apply it to the Lightning Strike, oh, Lightning Strike is back. That thing they said about an enchant that makes it so... It was like on like... No, it was on daggers, wasn't it? It was on daggers. It was 100% reduced soul gain prevention for attacks that were socketed in that weapon or something like that. But you can't smite with a dagger, right? The Val Smite is such a fun button to press. Imagine if you could actually have 100% reduced, and you just Val Smite, and it gives you souls to Val Smite. Ooh. Inspiration, less mana cost instead of reduced. I kind of thought this might happen. So Divine Blessing being removed removes like the normal abusive like use case for inspiration. So that's not the biggest deal. They added a bunch of support for reduced mana cost of attacks, and it's in big numbers too. Like over here, it's like 2-pointer, like 23% reduced mana cost, and some mana on hit. So there's a decent amount of support for reduced mana cost stuff. Archmage nerf. Oh yeah, that is a big Archmage nerf, isn't it? Did Dan not even use inspiration on his character in the race? I thought I didn't see it. At least on a 5 link. Did eventually? Yeah, it was 6 link. Makes sense. Yo, they fucked up trauma support. Holy shit. Why? Why did this happen? I guess the idea is the skills themselves have higher effectiveness of added damage. But like that affects flat from weapons, which is bigger, at the same percent as it affects flat from support, which is now smaller. Sentence changes, Berserker. I've already kind of looked at all these things. I feel like it's better to look at these on the tree itself, not here. I'm just gonna like read Berserker, and then we're gonna look at the tree. So nothing on Berserker changed from these 4 nodes. It was just Warbringer got removed, and now it's like double Exert, which is so much worse. Like so much worse. And then this re-gives Rage attack speed and makes it decay later, which is really nice for quality of life if you're having downtime. And this makes Rage a little stronger. Honestly, not a huge fan of Berserker. I'm, hardcore bias obviously, but like, I feel like offensively it's not that insane. 4 points for 75% attack speed and 17% more damage. Just like not that good. So not a huge fan of this. Chieftain, is that a 2-pointer? No, it's connecting. Still has the explode right here. Unchanged. Still has the support gem thing, unchanged. Now it has this Warcry thing. So the Warcry buffs seemed like their durations were all really small, and the buff effects themselves were also nerfed. Except for the one that gives, Seismic Cry? Gives more armor. That one's pretty good. The rest are all, like, not that insane. So, like, I don't really like this that much. Like, Warcry buff effect before was used for 2 things. In particular, it was... Oh yeah, I guess there is the max shift thing. But it was used to scale Enduring Cry to get you to PDR cap, and it was used to scale Battle Mage's Cry to make you do damage cap. And none of the new buffs are anywhere near that strong. So like I don't like if you're telling me this makes it so your Max's Warcry gives you 4 Max's instead of 3, like I don't care. You know? And everything else is still Chieftain, so who cares? No Chieftain. Juggernaut got changed a decent bit. mainly just these 2 points right here. Mini Transcendence is gone, and now it's only Chaos, which had to happen because they changed how Endurance Charges work. So Endurance Charges now have Eternal Damnation baseline into them. They give 4% physical and LEDR, which is fucking insane. Like, that is so insane. So if you had Mini Transcend plus that, way too strong. Yeah, with the Timeless Drill, it still works. But with the Timeless Drill, you need to either get full Fist Conversion or full PDR. And full PDR is no longer possible. Like, the Quinn build is gone because they removed PDR from Enduring Cry. Unless they add a way to get, like, 20% extra PDR or something. Or wait, no, isn't it like 30%? It was 3% per Endurance Charge, 11 Endurance Charges. Like, 33% PDR is gone. So good luck getting the rest of that. Like, I think Jug nowadays is probably, in most cases, Undeniable, Unstoppable, and then Unrelenting. And then you stack some Endurance Charges. But yeah, the problem is monsters can roll Archdem modifiers that remove your charges. And also there's like probably ultimatums that do it, there's map mods that do it, there's all kinds of things that can remove your charges. And it's weird. So, not really a fan too much of Jug. It's too reliant on that. Unless you use Rally Cache. I don't like Rally Cache. I just don't. It took away my movement speed and now I'm angry. But yeah, you could. Champion got pretty heavily nerfed. It's 50 now instead of 20. And this makes your allies have 4, which, who cares? I mean, for champion supports, I think they actually got buffed. But party play, who cares? Because like most carry builds didn't have fortification. But for like a solo champion build, like I'm just gonna use the fortify gem or some shit instead of this. That's awful. Like you'll just use fortify support gem, assuming you're melee, plus conqueror instead of this, because that's just like 5 extra DR here, 10 extra here. Like Master of Metal, Adrenaline, Inspirational is all kind of good still, but the thing is, Determ, Grace, and Hatred all nerfed. So Inspiration, like the value of aura stacking is lower, which makes effect scaling worse. And like, just use Death Rush for Adrenaline, right? I'm not a huge fan of Champ. It's Slayer. Log in. It's Slayer, Masterful Form, stack Frenzies, get Endurance, get DR. I think they said they changed Damnation. I haven't gotten to that part yet. But in the Q&A, they mentioned it. Gladiator got a bunch of changes. I've looked at a lot. Not a huge fan. Like, this is kind of cool. Maybe some bleed stuff will be decent. This lost its damage multiplier. It lost challenge charges, which were fun. I don't know. It's weird. This lucky node can make you have disgusting avoidance. Like 95% chance to avoid damage kind of stuff. But like, That's not the kind of defense that I like. A retaliation build? Retaliation Gladiator Sim Farmer. Quote me. Deadeye. Wait, what? They nerfed Tailwind on Deadeye? What a random change. What the fuck? Wind Ward is still unplayable trash. Never took that. They modified how far shot. Wait. Oh, wait, no, they didn't. They didn't modify how far shot works. They made the far shot keystone not give far shot. So far shot still gives minus 20 to 60% damage, but you can stack that with this, right? I think. Maybe not, I'm not sure. It's still called far shot. That's weird. We'll see. But like maybe it'll stack. Oh yeah, true. It has no attack tag, so it works on spells now. And Warden has all this weird tincture stuff. I feel like I can't I mean, there's this thing that's broken with taming. It gives you a 1,000% increased damage with taming. I think they're gonna patch that before the league comes out. This one's kind of weird. When you reach 100 of it, you're then allowed to use Unbound Avatar when you want, and then you get full conflux of ailments, 80% more damage. It's like Berserk. You can get a maximum of what, like 15 stacks per second, maybe 20. If you're applying like alt ailments too. Then you get 10 seconds of big dam. Very neat, very weird. Unsure how good it will be. I assume this goes past the cap of 30. So you can apply 2 -30s, I assume. Otherwise it wouldn't be good. Like, if they actually let the taming thing go in, you get like a lot of really, really strong stuff here. But for tinctures, the base power of tinctures themselves seems way worse than they were before. So it really just depends what mods can want tinctures now. 50 stacks of shot count for Yoke individually. I think Yoke would not work, right? Or is it per? Oh shit. No. Yoke says each type. I think Yoke is fine, but the taming specifically works differently. It's per ailment. Because the taming was created back when shock stacked 3 times by default. It used to always work that way. And then they changed it to only be 1 stack, like 10 years ago. And now this is this thing for 50 stacks, which is broken. So they'll probably change that. More notables, and they are also annoying. Oh. This is a pretty massive nerf to tattoos. Beef. I mean, there's no guarantee that these tattoos are still in the game. Next patch, we see some tattoos leaked in the teaser, but there's no guarantee those exist, so maybe it won't matter. But the Val patch change is really weird because you can't life pot anymore or use like anything. It's only leech, but it's 10% life per hit. Oh, it's melee damage, so you can't use it on Molten Strike, which would be one of like the best uses of it. But it's like 10% life per hit is what this is. We don't care about Impaler buffs. 2 points saved on these builds that want to go IR on the right side. Wait, what? This was often not worth taking at 50. That's a really weird change. I'll just never take it instead of often not taking it. What the hell? They nerfed the mana cost stuff too. Oh, they removed the armor to chaos? Rest in peace, Ingetus and Heart builds. Rip Fizz conversion to chaos. Interesting. Leading into this chance to ignore instead of over 1%. Whoa, that's a big ass number. Wait, wasn't there a mastery too? So Bastion Breaker plus the mastery just gives you a 100% chance to ignore PDR. That is so much better than what it used to be. To ignore Overwhelm, yeah. Same thing, kinda. Basically, like, if a monster only had armor and didn't have anything, this 20% was almost always enough that you didn't care. But endurance charges give like 15% per charge. Map mods, when you're scaling, you know, increased effect on your Atlas tree, which you're still going to do even though this is gone, you're still going to scale effect. You get like 90%. But yeah, like, this is so much better. Dude, 100% overwhelm is so sick. It's actually so amazing. There's I think essences that can give charges for PDR. There's Archstone mods that can give charges. There's map mods. There's PDR actually on the map mod. There's monsters stealing your charges. And if you're generating charges, like, that's so sick. It's just 4 points. And you get some damage increase, and then you get full, just ignore all overwhelm. It's sick. Love that. Hopefully monsters don't start getting this stat though. Do not give monsters chance to ignore, please. And most of these aren't too important. Most of them are just small changes to numbers, not really anything major. They buffed Leech Limbs in the tree because they nerfed Valpact for recovery over time. Dark Arts moved. Rest in peace, speedrunners again. Nothing major. Unique item changes. Adorned. 0 to 100. This change makes me kind of want to just play Self-Found. If I'm playing melee characters, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm gonna burn through, like, finishing a character so fast in Trade League. And, like, this Adorn change means I'm probably not gonna do the whole, like, spend 3 weeks making these, 100 Divine Jewels that are all, like, remod synth stuff. Defiance. Ooh, wow. 20% instead of 35. That's a big nerf. Still insanely good. 24% still. Still really, really, really good. Top tier item. Still worth being a T0. So when you have Ralikesh on, you don't gain charges, right? There's no way they missed that. There's no way they missed that. Like, Ralikesh doesn't even give you minimum charges. It just says you count. There's no fucking way they missed that. Like, that's just... You'll just get 90% damage reduction for Fire, Cold, Lightning. On top of Resist. On top of Suppression. On top of Fortify. On top of Reduced Damage. Like, there's no way that's intended. Holmes Heart has 1,000 life. And it's still bad. Oh, they removed the Fizz conversion on Lethal Pride as well. So, what have they removed from Fizz conversion so far? It's the Mastery for 10 Fizz to Chaos and Lethal Pride. That's all I've seen so far. I see a taste down here. It's all gone, bro. Oh, it's gonna be item changes too? Oh shit. Oh shit, I'm scared. I'm scared. You know who doesn't give a fuck? Melee. You got armor, you got endurance charges. Who cares? And also bow characters in software trade, because you have damage and you got damage. Who cares? Like Fub was doing T17s before with the fucking Greed's Embrace. Like Headhunter gives you PDR from Archnet modifiers. Like you don't need conversion. Fist of Hate converts fire lightning to cold. That's like the worst direction. Because the big pin in this game is Cold Pin. There's not really much pin on Exarch either. It's only his Annihilation. It's good for like Transcendence characters because it splits your hits up. But like Transcendence is pretty hard to use now. So I need to add my filter to have like 30 quality bases on the ground. And then you scour chance for uniques. That's kind of weird. I don't know about that one, but I don't hate it. It's kind of weird though. Like getting it also means that like dropped fractures are guaranteed to just be worse than finding a 30 quality base and then fracturing it. But I mean, dropped fractures don't even exist anyways because they deleted those. For combinators, yeah, but that's a chance of breaking your item as well. Oh, nice. Minor. Wait, what? My baubles! My baubles! You. What? No. I'm playing Trade League. I need to buy baubles. So every source of overwhelm is now a chance to ignore, huh? Interesting. Does this mean what I think it's gonna mean? I already heard this line. The bosses are gone. What? Why is the incursion mod taking the betrayal mod? It's not mentioned anywhere else. I'm scared. It's still craftable for sure. We're good. But if it's not, guess what? We're playing melee. I can't believe Jules can just roll max res. That's wild. And also a pretty big nerf to Adorned. Warbands on helmets. All watch side modifiers. I got some legacy gear on my guy. Holy. Wait, they added it to the chest implicit? But they removed it from everything else. It's still on helmet? I don't see anything mentioning helmet. So Fizz conversion wise, you're getting Helm, Chest, Dawnbreaker. A new set of modifiers for Purity Auras. I'm sure they'll be close to as competitive as this. Yeah, like Corel is gone, Fizz to Fire is gone, but the implicit which could go any direction, is not listed, at least not here. I feel like they just forgot to list it. Like them adding a new one on the chest, but not removing it from the helmet, I feel like it's being moved. It's like having the same mod roll in 2 different armor types is kind of weird. So even if it's not listed, I think it's going to be gone from the helmets. Why? Why are they listing ruthless changes in my patch notes? Ruthless. Monster balance. I kind of wish we had numbers. So this is something that I've always known was a thing. Like that Essences provided base life, even though it's not listed like anywhere in any sort of data mining. Like you can just tell. You open an essence that has 4 essences, none affect your build in any way, and it's way tankier. But like I don't know what the numbers are still. It's possible this is just like a replacement, but it has no impact, and it's gonna all still be like mathed out to be identical from a player point of view. Yeah, like for a DD point of view or an Infernal Cry point of view, it's a little bit of a nerf, but ever since they removed the essence duplication mechanic, that was gone anyways. Yo! It's not only freeze, there's also a this node up here. Wow, this is actually, that's huge. This stacks with temp chains and chill. So before, like this number goes to 40%, but it never mattered because bosses were capped at 70. But now they're capped at 50. You can stack chill plus temp chains and get 50% reduction. That is so much. Work on Ubers? It should. This is everything, I think. Dude, chill plus temp chains is actually, that's so much reduction. That's crazy. Ziz, 100% haste. 100% haste. Do it. The meteor now has a cooldown. This is a big nerf. Crush is only minus 15 instead of 30, and it only applies to hits after the first. Bone Shatter? Yeah, that is true. Crush will fuck up Bone Shatter characters, but who cares? Actually, that's really funny for Bone Shatter characters for trauma. It used to be Poacher's Mark could spawn and instantly kill you, but now like you can just get crushed. And the thing is, like when Bone Shatter is set up properly, you have exactly 90 PDR versus your biggest hit. So if you have, you know, if and you're barely out healing it. So when you go from 90 to 75 because of Crush, you're taking 2.5 times more damage. So you'll go from like taking 5k a second and healing 5k a second to taking like what 12,500 a second and still healing 5,000 a second, and then you die instantly. Not instantly, but like in like a second you die. That's gonna be funny. This was like by far the most dangerous mod in Sims. When you were playing a 4th Val setup, like Overwhelm was the fucked thing. So if you were as a Bakwa 4th Val character, you didn't really care about Fire, Cold, Lightning, Chaos. It was just a Fizz Overwhelm. And it's gone now, it's sick. Like these stacked too, it's possible to get 20 Overwhelm or something like that. Like Sim buffed, Armor, kinda buffed, although there's a good point about Crush. Crush being a debuff on you instead of an overwhelm on them means that if a rare monster crushes you and then you one-shot the rare monster, for the next 4 seconds, every other monster is still like fucking you up real bad. So armor still has some weaknesses. It is what it is. Revenant monsters now use the shared explosion telegraphing used by corpses when they detonate. That doesn't matter at all, man. It doesn't matter at all. It hits for 16 million base in a T1. Alright? That's the problem. I fucking hate Revenant so much. Bro, why'd they nerf the Life Mastery to 30? Like that shit was already bad. It was already like, I mean it was like you generally took it on like an average character. You didn't take it on bow characters. Or characters that didn't invest that much into like percent life. I feel like it was already in a good spot. Like a lot of my in-game life characters just didn't take that note already. I'll never take Oak. That's such a weird nerf. Creighton help? Always. Honestly, I don't know. On like a leap slamming character, move speed is just not that good when you're leaping. It's really good on shield chargers or bow characters, but like on a leap slammer, I don't know if I bother. Might just take a point. We'll see. This is all just gem quest rewards. Static life bars that block your buffs if you have more than 3 buffs. That's fine. Well, the idea of missing a fracture on a 30 quality base and then unfracturing it, gone. Saving heist items from fractures, probably gone. That was a bug. It wasn't a bug, but it didn't work the way they wanted it to, so they changed it. But I mean, that's not like, it's not really a bug. It was just a nerf to crafting. Oh my god. I'm not insane. I knew it. I fucking knew it, dude. This shit has not worked properly in like 4 years. It worked properly in 3.11 and 3.12, and it hasn't worked since. So many times I would press Call of Steel with like 10 targets surrounding a rare that all got one shot, which means they all have like 1,000,000 damage and Impale stored in them, and I would Call of Steel, and the rare would lose like a third of its life instead of getting fucking one shot and dying, like it should. Big. Now bring back the jewels so I can play Call of Steel builds again. Nice. This was really annoying because the way my build worked, I couldn't run the T17 version of this, but I could run the T16 version. So my filter only searched for the T17 version, but if you rolled both mods, it didn't understand. It was like 90% or something, so it didn't know. Nice. Huge. Juggernaut stonks. And Trickster. I can't believe they didn't fix this until 325. I was getting gaslit into believing that they intended it. I moved Jung made a video for a fucking typo. Thoughts? I love that DD is finally dead. Well, base DD is dead. Chain reaction DD might still be playable in some cases. But I love that it's finally fucking over. Like 10 years later. Melee looks really good. So the nerfs to Fizz conversion make a lot of right side builds a lot harder to reach like what before was kind of like invulnerability, which I'm sure is not something they ever really liked, that we could get that tanky that easily. The whole like full Fizz conversion transcendence setups, way too strong, never should have been a thing. Even just full Fizz conversion 90 res setups, like unless you do something like really stupid, you just couldn't die, basically. Like these in-game characters that we had, like this, it's too strong, right? It's too strong. When you're just 90 res, full convert, defiance for the killing from small hits, like your only way to die is basically to like put in a T17 map that has modifiers that you shouldn't do. Like, oh wow, this thing has 15 pen, and then with Back to Basics, now it has 45 pen. But as long as you don't do something like that, like, you're not really gonna die. And that level of defense is kind of silly. So like, I think that's fine that they got rid of that. Melee defense looks really good. Like, melee defense looks top tier. Endurance charges are good. Suppression seems like it's still in the game, so you still have that. Fortify is obviously sick. Melee gets to use better bases and is in the armor part of the tree, so a smaller D-term isn't the worst deal. Like, melee looking nice. Looking nice. Archmage is decent. You lost a little bit of Fizz conversion from Helm Implicit, but that Implicit was competing with like Hybrid Life or like Mana or some shit, so it's like kind of whatever. Archmage didn't really care about the aura loss because Eternal Blessing's still in the game. Only Divine Blessing's gone. Because Divine Blessing, from when it was created, was never once used the way it was intended. Whereas Eternal Blessing is. It's intended to make it so mana builds can have an aura still. So like, for Hyros, for example, you lost a little bit of phase conversion, but you gained 16% DR for Fire Cold Lightning. And they also nerfed Inspiration, so your mana costs are going to be a little worse. But I'm pretty sure Hyro Archmage still pretty solid. Right side builds in hardcore looking kind of fucking sketchy. I'm sure there's solutions that work, but kind of sketchy. Is anything with a blood magic? Blood magic or mana. You can do either. I wonder if you can just play blood magic. Like, Warbanner's free. You can just use that. Like, hypothetically, you just drop D-Term. If you have good bases and armor on the tree and endurance charges, like, you probably could just drop D-Term. So you just Eternal Blessing Pride, run a Warbanner, and chill. Or just run D-Term, not use Pride. But, like, Blood and Sand's kind of good too. It just depends on how bad the mana costs are. It's like, those mana costs are fucked, man. Before you have access to Orion and stuff, like, your skill's gonna cost 45 mana. So your choices for sustaining that are Mana Leech with Instant Leech Mastery, or get enough reduced mana cost that it's free again. Or use Life Tap. It's one of those three. Melee usually has the best support gems in the game. Usually. Depending on what skill you're playing. Where like the low like your worst support is often still 30% or more. If you're ever in a scenario where like your worst support is 25%, you just Life Tap, right? And it's fine. Like, you just 19%. And also Life Tap gives a buff that gives you more life from flasks, which is minor, but it does something. Also, I want to look at something here on the item changes. So this only mentions body armor. But in the teaser, we saw boots, and we saw a shield that also had higher than normal life rolls. So, and we saw a belt too, right? I'm kind of curious what that's about. We saw 4 different item types that all had it, but the patch note only says body armor. We'll see. It's the vendor gives higher value. They said the vendor gives better loot. And by better, it means modifier to your rating. When you go to the vendor and you gamble at high level, you cannot get tier 13 life. It can't spawn. It is what they said. It's how that works. Why is DD dead? They changed how corpse spawning works is the main reason. Like, one, they just nerfed that Desecrate to be capped at monster level 80. But more importantly, they changed how Spectre pools work. So instead of being able to, well, first off, when you Desecrate, 15% chance for one to be a Spectre, and it doesn't use the pool at all. And then also, those Spectres can only be Spectred or like off-ranked. Only minion skills. They can't be DD'd. And you can only even spawn these if you actually have Spectre itself. They mentioned Unearth. So for Unearth, minus 10 levels. Even if they didn't make this change, I don't know if Unearth would have been OP. Because for this skill to be playable, you need it like socketed in like a +2 helmet with Empower and Enhance, and like a +2 neck. Like, you need a ton of things for it to even be playable. So I feel like this maybe wasn't required, but I'm fine with it. Fuck corpse skills. So like playing ignite based DD is pretty unplayable, I think. Playing chain reaction DD, I think is still playable. So especially if you combine it with Archmage, because chain reaction DD just has 800% damage. It hits 8 times. So if you add a bunch of flat to it, it still hits really hard. Monsters DDing are still gonna fuck you. Sorry, bud. Especially Revenants. But like when you die to a Revenant explosion, the visual, I guess, beauty of it and the sound will be louder.